My name is Alfonso Longoria. I'm the Academy Director here at Kealing. I know I've met some of you, but some of you may not know me yet. Ms. Colburn may be in a little bit later this morning. She may be able to make it, she may not, but I'll just go ahead and kind of cover some things that she wanted me to cover. First thing is, please visit our website and our calendar on the website. We have a lot of big events coming up. Obviously this time of the year with the holidays, we start to have certain kind of traditional celebrations that we have here at Kealing. I know Ms. D may talk about it later, but we have our little Thanksgiving dinner coming up. I believe that's Thursday,
November 16th.
November 16th. Sorry, it's a little early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. November 16th. Also, so you're aware, on December 6th we have our middle school fair, where we will have our Kealing staff go to Ann Richards School and talk to prospective students coming in, both for the academy and the magnet program for next year. So that's every annual thing that we do. Also, I want to bring to your attention, we for the third year in a row we have launched our writing volunteer program. I don't know if y'all saw a couple weeks ago in the Hornet Herald, I sent out a message about that with a link. Let me just tell y'all a little bit about that. It's really an awesome experience for our volunteers. This is our third year doing it, and each year we've kind of increased in numbers. But basically what the idea is that, especially in the 7th grade, and really in both programs, the academy program and the magnet program, writing is a big deal. And typically 7th grade is kind of a pivotal year where they really start to take that writing from more of an elementary, now we're progressing into more like getting ready for high school, getting ready for AP courses and advanced courses and all those type of things. And so one of the things that we know for writing is that sometimes it can be difficult at the secondary level to really get deep into writing, because you have a teacher with 28 students, and we know that one of the best methods for teaching writing is writing conferencing. And so we're able to get it done, but it makes it a lot easier for the teacher if we have people that can come in and help that teacher with conferencing, with sitting down with students and kind of going over their papers and that sort of thing. So we launched this writing program. We have parent volunteers that come in, and it's really simple. We just sit down for a block of time. You may sit down with 4 to 5 students, and the teacher tells you, okay, today we're going to look at main idea. Do they have a main idea in their paper? And so you just sit down with them and you go through and you say, okay, I can see that you have a main idea, and you work with them on that. Or maybe it's just grammar that particular day. So we've had a lot of success with that. We've had positive feedback from volunteers, and really most importantly, we've had great feedback from our kids. Our kids actually love it because they actually get to sit down with somebody and go over their writing. All that to say, that program has started. I have a handful of volunteers that have already signed up and will be contacted this week to start. If you're interested in that, please sign up for that. I will send it out again this week in the Hornet Herald. Also, I will put a link up on our website. I think we have one up, but I'll make sure that it's up today if you want to do that. Okay. Any questions on that?
What was it called again? The official name of it?
It'll be Writing Coach Volunteer. Just kind of look for those words.
Is it like once a week kind of commitment?
Really, it's whatever time that you can give. But yeah, typically the volunteer, I put the schedule on there on the link that says this block, this block, this block with these times. If you can give an hour of that block, at least 45 minutes to an hour of that block, that really helps. So typically, yes, it's just like every Monday at this time, the volunteers coming in, or every Tuesday or every Thursday. You just give us a time that you want, and we really try to work it into. There's always usually an English class at that point that needs support.
So do you have the same child every day? I mean, every time you volunteer?
It kind of works out that way sometimes, that they end up, because they're at the same time, they're usually supporting the same teacher, so that teacher ends up, so yeah, I usually end up working with the same group of kids. I will say this, one thing that because we're doing it both programs, one thing that we are going to try a little different this year is we also added a block of time after school And what we kind of the vision here is to set up a writing center here in the library after school on certain days. So we haven't had anybody sign up for after school time, but that is a possibility. And so that's something to be thinking about. But the idea is that on Tuesdays after school, or Wednesdays, or whatever it may be, the kids could come down to the library and have volunteers here to help them with their writing, kind of like you would in a college where you go to a writing center. Okay?
And how long does it last? Like all year or?
Yeah, we go, well, the program typically we run it through the end of March.
Okay.
Yeah, we do it through the end of March. And really, that's what it's been in the past, only because the Writing Star is done in March. But one of the things that I'd like to do, if I can get enough volunteers and people that want to continue, is start maybe in April and May working with our 6th graders. And starting to get them ready for when the fall transitions and they move up to 7th grade. So 7th grade is the big writing year, but that's something, if we can get enough volunteers, we do it all 3 grade levels. But right now, we only have enough to really focus on the main need, which is 7th grade. Anything else on that? Okay, the next big thing that I had to discuss with y'all was Title I. So this is kind of every year we have to kind of go over to Title I, what it is and what's your role in it. How many of you are familiar with Title I? Okay, so Title I is basically a federal program created, passed by LBJ back in the 70s, 60s, that basically provides federal money to school districts with schools that have students of low income to provide resources to help balance out educational opportunities, is basically what it is. And so the federal government gives each state a certain pot of money. The state then distributes that money to each school district, and then the school district spreads it out to the different schools within the district. That is all based on how many students have free and reduced lunch. Okay, so that's kind of like the main gauge there. That's how the districts get the money, and then that's how the districts kind of determine how they set the money out to the different schools. Based on how many students you have, determines how much money you get. Okay, so every school gets a little bit different, pot of money, amount of money. Kealing, we do have students that do receive free and reduced lunch, so we do get a certain amount of money every year. It's a decent amount compared to some of the other Title I schools in the district. It's not, but we're always asking, can we get a little more, because we do use that money. Something that's very important about those funds is that we can only use them for certain things. So we can't just use Title I funds because they're federal funds, and we have to earmark them and track where that money's going. We can't just say, okay, we're going to go buy, whatever, a drone, or we're going to go buy some furniture or this. We have to have justification of how it's tied to the campus improvement plan and how it's going to impact kids' education. So I'll just tell you right now, there are actually some schools out there, believe it or not, that will get $600,000 in Title I funds, and they won't spend it all because they're afraid to spend it. So that is not our philosophy. I'll tell you that. Ms. Coburn and I, we spend every penny of it. We have every year, and I'll just tell you, typically we've gotten parent feedback through the CAC, through PTA every year. But the main thing that we've used it for is we've used Title I funds for hiring tutors throughout the day, professional development for our teachers. And it's changed every year based on our need and what we feel like we're doing for kids. I know that first year, like last year, we used professional development. We also bought books for all of our students in the ELA classrooms because they were doing book studies, so each kid throughout the year, got 2 different books that we've actually bought everybody. This year, we've had to use it for more personnel stuff, hiring tutors, CIS supplement, because funding was cut off for our CIS program, so we've had to do some things there.
What CIS? Oh,
community schools.
What kind of funding did they cut off?
Long story short, the the state cut off funding for CIS, which we know community in schools is extremely important here to our schools, so we've had to use some Title I funds to help keep them here because of the emotional learning support they provide to our students. So, and that was a state decision. So we're able to use federal money there because obviously you're looking at the whole child. We're able to, as long as we can show that it's tied to the campus improvement plan that helps kids, we're able to do that. Also, you know, supplies, materials, every year we do that. We buy binders. We have extra supplies for students that can't afford them. Those type of things is what we use Title I for. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Now, like, if a child needs like occupational therapy, will that be funded through the school? Can you allocate that any kind of way, OT, PT, anything? None of that can be under the Title I, okay?
No, Title I has to be specifically used for instruction. It has to be tied to teaching somehow. So, you know, getting kids, you know, novels for them to be able to read, that's, you know, that's part of their lesson. We're trying to provide, you know, if they couldn't afford that, we don't want that to get in the way of them being able to access the curriculum in the classroom, so we provide those novels for them. Sending a teacher to professional development to help increase the rigor in the pre-AP classroom. That would also be, because we're trying to improve instruction in the classroom. So it really has to be tied to instruction. It also has to be research-based, a lot of the stuff, everything that we do. So for example, if I send a teacher to a conference and I use Title I funds, it has to be a reputable conference that teaches research-based practices. And so a lot of times when we go and I sign up teachers for a conference, they'll have that in there where they say this is, you know, this is what we offer. And so when I type up the justification for that, you know, this is a national conference that's been around for decades. These are the strategies they teach, and so on. Same thing if we use it to buy a certain curriculum, like a certain, I know last year I think we bought, and then this is real, it wasn't really expensive, but we bought some math workbooks that had intervention strategies in there for our math teachers to use with kids that were struggling in particular concept areas within math. You know, they were little $80 books or whatever, but they were research-based and they had intervention strategies, and so we were able to use that. I'm just trying to give you all an idea of what kind of things that we buy with Title I money.
Do you have any idea of what kind of staff development Title I's paying for this year?
You know, this year we haven't used it for much staff development.
Do you have
In
any
the past,
plan?
no, not as of yet. We are in the process. I will tell you that one of the big things we are in the process of hiring an ELA tutor and a math tutor. The idea here is that we want to be able to start intervention a lot quicker in the school year than we have in the past. In the past, we've waited till that first benchmark test in January, and then we started to pull those kids. We're improving every year, and so one of the things that we've improved on is being able to get feedback and data throughout the year. And so what we'd like to do is starting, actually, we found somebody, we're just waiting for it to go through. We want to hire those tutors probably next week and have them start to do pullouts and working with students now that we feel like can use intervention so that we're ahead of it instead of being behind it.
How do you figure out which students? Do you specify students, or is it just if it's right?
Yeah, that's a great question. So here's what, and I'm so proud of our teachers. I actually told them in a meeting the other day, especially on our academy side. We've grown so much in the last 2 years, but one of the things that they do is, let's just say ELA department. They plan together multiple times during the week. We give them a common off period. And so they plan, and so what they do, and they started in the summer. They came in during the summer, you know, and they plan for days, and so they're always planning weeks, you know, 6 weeks out, 3 weeks out. What they do is they develop common assessments. So they all teach within their personality, but they're all teaching the same concepts at the same time. And then they basically develop a common assessment, a test, whether that's, you know, their kids are writing something or they're doing multiple choice or whatever it may be. They all give the same test. And then when the results come back, they're able to sit down, break them down, and say, okay, these kids struggled with this particular item or concept. These kids struggle with this. And they're able to group those students and then intervene when they need to. So they adjust their instruction. Now they're doing this as they teach as well. So it's not that they're not just waiting for that big test and then doing it. They're actually doing it as they teach. You know, they're doing daily assessments, so they're trying to catch it earlier and earlier and earlier and intervene. But there's still students that are going to struggle with certain things. And so what we do is we try to grab those students that we think intervention from interventionists could affect, and we get those students. So.
And is that an instruction outside of the class, or is it during the class day?
It will be during the class day. Typically what we do, and you know, it's one of those things, it's a hard decision as an administrator and as a teacher we have to make, okay, where do we find the time to give this kid intervention? So what we'll typically do is, if a kid really needs intervention, for like 2 or 3 weeks in a window, we may pull them out during an elective class. Okay, and it's not fun, and we sit down with the parents and we talk about that, because it's, you know, but at the end of the day, if we have a gap that we need to cover, we know that's important. We have to do that. I will say this: when we do that, it almost always has a return on it, because kids respond to that, especially if you do it right and you know what particular thing they're struggling with. If they're struggling with integers, and you know that's what it is, and that tutor goes in there and they have a focus, and that helps that student focus. Okay, we're going to work on integers, and that's what we're going to learn. Or I'm struggling with main idea. Okay, well, you have a tutor that goes in there and helps them just with that particular item, and that's what. So in the past, we've done that with some of our staff members doing that after school or during the day. This year, we're excited to try to do that with actually having 2 full-time tutors on campus the majority of the week, throughout the week, which is, I think it's going to have big.
So are the tutors employed through AISD or, oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We employ them through AISD. We're looking for highly qualified people that have experience in tutoring, that have teaching certificates, have a degree, you know, that kind of thing, so, or are working towards one. So the other big part of Title I, so that kind of gives you an idea what we use Title I funds for. The other part is that it's required that we get parent feedback, and that we have means of being able to do that. Y'all that have been around know that we do that here at Kealing, through our CAC, through PTA, through access, ease of communication to us. You can all go on our website. There's a little deal on there if you want to, you know, send a concern or something. You're able to do that. All our emails are on there. You can email me anytime you want if you have a concern. So that's, you guys have access to that. The other thing is we sent home a parent compact. I don't know if you guys got that. It's gone home a couple times, but it was sent out electronically at the beginning of the year. Your child should have gotten it last week in advisory class. So ask them about it if you haven't seen it. I will say this: I think some of our teachers didn't realize to send it out, so I need to send a reminder to them to send it out. So some of the parent compact, which is it's basically an agreement between the parent and the school and the student, and it basically just says, I think Ms. D had some back there. No, I saw it back there. Okay. But basically it just says, hey, the student, I agree to come to school, I agree to work hard, I agree to be attentive in class, that sort of thing. Parent agrees to make sure kids here on time, just your typical stuff. And then on our end, obviously, we agree to provide the best instruction possible, that we're going to hire the best people possible, that kind of thing. So you can read it more in detail, but basically that's what it says. The main thing I want you all to know is that parent feedback is extremely important to us. We don't just make decisions without parent feedback. And so just know that you have multiple ways, tons of ways to reach out to us if something comes up. We also have multiple ways that we reach out to you to try to get feedback from you. You know, through the Hornet Herald, through Ms. D, through messengers. We send out stuff all the time. So that you just know that we're aware of that and it's out there. What else did I miss, Ms. D? Oh yeah, parents' rights to know. It's your right to know who's teaching your child. You know, we have highly qualified, certified teachers. If we don't, for some reason, if a teacher leaves, this has happened before where a teacher's, you know, maybe has, you know, spouse got a job somewhere that they had to move out to California or whatever, and there's a change, you know, we'll send a letter home and say, hey, at this time right now, there's a substitute teacher in there, we're working on hiring somebody, so that's your right to know who's teaching your child.
I was wondering what is your policy on the speed at which that's done? That happened to my kid when he was in 6th grade, and we didn't find out until the semester was halfway over, almost over, that we got a letter, but it was like this person isn't really qualified to do it. It was a situation, I mean, it was a last minute thing.
Yeah, so to answer your question.
But because I think that's really, really important, because it had a huge impact on that kid.
So I will say this, it is our policy to do it as soon as we know. So
She was a substitute teacher here for a long time.
Right.
So I think that there could have been a lot more,
And it's
better communication.
okay. So I would say this: every situation is a little different, and I've been an administrator for a while now at different schools, and different situations come up, right? So there's people that move because of a spouse. There's people that just all of a sudden don't show up. There's people, you know, that life happens sometimes, and so different circumstances we have to let it play out because we can't. There's also laws that protect.
There's an HR aspect.
HR aspect. Thank you. That's a great way for me to say it. There's HR aspect that we have to work out as well too. But it is your right to know who the teacher is. Sometimes I will tell you this. Sometimes a substitute will come in and, you know, the original plan is that substitute teacher is going to be there for 4 days. Well, then it ends up being 2 weeks, or then a teacher comes back and then the sub comes back. We've had that happen before too. So I understand your frustration there. We do our best to communicate once we know that there's been a change and we know that it's going to be that way. But what we don't want to do, because of the HR aspect, is say this and it ends up, you know. So it's frustrating, and it's frustrating for us, but it's a juggling act sometimes that we have to play.
I mean, and I realize sometimes classes are so specific, it's really hard to get the right teacher. It's just that I think that parents need to know if there needs to be a change. I mean, because I get all the HR aspect and and the specificity aspect of it, but like really, I mean, when it's going to make that much of an impact, you know, so things can, if it's early enough, and it was, it can be, you can change your schedules.
And you bring up another good point. A lot of times there are certain certifications that are harder to get than others. Okay, so I'll be honest. This is just one. Like sometimes, you know, your math and sciences, those are, you know, sometimes those are a little more challenging, especially in the middle of the year to find than during the summer, right? Because in the summer, people are transitioning. There's more people looking for a job, but it happens in the middle of the year. A lot of times, it just depends on the year. Some years it's ELA and it's hard to find, you know, because of who's out there in the pool and who's moving to Austin.
With that being said, do you have any update on Ms. Strickland's return?
I don't.
You don't. So you don't know if it's going to be.
I don't at this point. Okay. So that's basically it.
So
Just.
do we need to sign these and turn them in to you while we're here, or what?
No, that's just you. That's your copy to have.
Okay.
That's your copy to have. So just know, kind of in a nutshell, that we do receive Title I funds that comes from the government. We can only use it on certain things. I kind of explained that. And a big part of that is parent collaboration and communication involvement with that. Okay?
Can can you touch on the bond a little bit, because it's coming up, and I have
I was told the only thing I can say is,
Well, I
just
mean-
make sure y'all know that that's coming up, make sure you go out and vote.
okay,
We can, but Mr.
Yeah.
Lopez, right, okay, but we have other things that we can't.
yeah.
So, yeah, your questions are.
All right, that's all I have unless you have questions. I don't know if there's anybody else on the agenda, Ms. D, that you.
So as far as Title I, Mr. Longoria has finished, but we do have some information from PTA. We also have some bond information that we're going to share with you. Dusty Harshman has been on multiple committees. He's our representative here. Any of the questions that you may have about the bond, I'm sure that he can help us out, either by answering them completely or by directing us to those people who can give you a more definitive answer. However, again, the last day to to vote early is tomorrow, and you can vote here at Carver Library. And all you need is your driver's license if you don't have your voter registration. It's a form of ID. So,
Is there a question?
so if there are any burning questions about the bond, feel free to.
Can we just do something real quick?
Uh-huh.
I call this meeting to order at 8 o'clock.
Jane Russo with PTA Treasurer, and Megan Carcasi is our Vice President. Mr. Gossett is ill today, and Ms. Colbert is indisposable right now.
Okay, well, let's make the first order of business being the bond.
All right.
Are there any like specific questions that you had?
I just wanted to touch on it.
Touch on it?
Absolutely. So on school property, we can't advocate for spending in a bond, so we can definitely inform. My name's Dusty Harshman, and I'm a parent of an 8th grader here at the school. I've also, as far as the PTA is concerned, I'm the grounds chair, so I like to work outside, dig holes and stuff like that. I have served on a long-term AISD committee, called Facility and Bond Planning Advisory Committee, that built I'll call it a 30-year forward-looking, kind of a new thinking for the district facility master plan. And this would be the first step in implementing the 30-year plan, this particular bond. As you heard, the early voting is happening right now, and it continues until Friday at 7 p.m. Carver is obviously the closest location. There are others around town. If you are curious, I can either tell you where they are or point you to a website that will. Election day is next Tuesday, November 7th, and it's also 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Carver is a precinct location as well, but anyone can vote anywhere, any open precinct on election day or early voting with their driver's license. As far as the new thinking I mentioned that this bond has in it, it's a departure in that AISD had previously done small work for each campus with each bond. And this new thinking is that was not keeping our buildings up to serviceable condition. So let's take a handful of those buildings and completely modernize them at one time in one bond, and then the next bond grab another handful. So in this handful we have 16 or 17 campuses that are receiving very large investments, while many are being asked to be patient.
So, as per usual, it looks like we like to have buildings that and I say this is for the city and it's for the district and the state too. We build buildings and then we don't properly have asset management. So it becomes an issue. It becomes critical that we pass these huge bonds. So when you said, well, there are other buildings that are being asked to wait. So as those buildings are waiting, are those buildings up to date enough so that as we wait another, I think it has to be 6 or 8 years before you do another bond package, are they gonna be more critical so that we have to ask for more money? Or are they gonna be to a point that we can ask for somewhat the same? I know that's really a detailed question, probably not
No,
really rough, but.
So you don't roll the dice to determine the need. Bond cycles tend to be about 4 or 5 years between the bond. Our last one was 2013. There was a very extensive study done district-wide to suggest the campuses that required the most attention now. So closest to us, probably Govali Elementary, ranked very low in 2 categories of studies. One, a facility condition assessment, which is the general structure and the systems, roofing, HVAC, plumbing. The second being educational suitability. How well does the building promote modern learning? So those 2 together helped inform the largest need at this time. Now, to answer your question, yes, everything will drift towards entropy or towards like a lower condition over time. But we are prioritizing the worst need first and hopefully moving those schools basically to a like-new condition. So the elementary is receiving around the same amount to modernize as it would to build if it was just a field. So it's receiving fairly heavy investment upfront.
So, I'm sorry.
Now that said, there is still also basic maintenance for every building for their highest need. It's just not as large a chunk. For example, you'll see roofs, HVAC, and plumbing repaired at every school based on their highest priority needs on that campus, regardless of whether they're receiving a large amount or not. But you're not going to see HVAC plus, let's renovate these 3 rooms over here to do this new thing. That's going to wait until there's $30 million available to really change the school.
What about new schools?
So
I know there's no new schools in this bond, right?
No, there are new schools in this
bond
bond as well. So there's a new school, Southeast Austin, to supplement what's happening at Blazier Elementary. It's basically, it's on the same site, but it's going to be a new building. There's new schools in Southwest Austin. There's a new school in Northeast Austin Middle School. The rest are elementaries. I say that. Just up the road here. Take it all back. The original Anderson High School site, just up Rosewood and Hargraves, may become a new high school should the bond pass.
A regular high school?
Yes, yes.
Just making sure it's just not.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yes, it's for a transplant of the East Side High School community. It does several things. Again, I'm tempering language as not to appear like I'm advocating for anything.
Right.
It brings the school closer to more of its students, so it will be more proximate to the East Side attendance zone. It's maybe right sizes the school. The East Side Memorial currently holds many fewer students than attend, and this would be a smaller version of a high school, probably at 800 to 1,000 capacity. It also, this is not political, it addresses what many consider to be a social wrong of 1971 by reopening a campus that was closed for desegregation. And
I graduated from LC Anderson in 1967. Yes, sir.
So anyway, there are new schools.
I'm sorry, I want to ask you more questions.
No?
That's okay. But I was just listening to the news at one point, and where they said that P.A. Brown that was torn down, and that if the bond passed, they shall build that too again.
Yes.
Rebuild it as well. I was just, I like KU news, so pretty accurate.
Yeah, I love that. Even though that school was closed and is functionally being rebuilt new in its place, I lump that in with the category of the 16 schools that are receiving the heavy investment now. That's certainly, that case is both embarrassing and productive. It shows that the districts didn't catch festering problems in prior facility planning assessments, but thankfully there was more money, a deeper investigation spent in this go-round, and they were able to identify those things properly. So that's the basics. Any other questions?
That's good enough. I just wanted to make, my biggest concern really was that high school, that old LC was not gonna be some, and it sounds so terrible.
No, it's not gonna be.
Some like remedial, you know, I wanted to be, because it was in its glory days when it was shut down, so it should be brought back as a regular high school. It is a blight on our social fabric.
Well, there's a lot of optimism from within
It's
the.
just too bad it can't have its old name back.
The LC, which was an education.
I really have an issue with that, but that's not
See, we back in the day, I even went to this school.
Absolutely.
Way back in the day. I mean, back in the day. Before it burned out. Way back in the
Do you
day.
remember Principal Calhoun?
Yes.
So Principal
Yes.
Calhoun is an AISD hero.
Yes.
He was the principal here for 35 years, I think, from the late 1930s to 1971. In fact, he was going to retire in 71. Well, he did retire in 1971. They introduced a new principal, and the school didn't open the next school year because desegregation ruling suggested we close Kealing campus and scatter the kids a lot of different places. So I enjoy the history of those times, but I'd love to catch up further. I built a digital history of the school. In fact, I'd be happy to share it. Anybody wants to see sort of newspaper clippings and yearbooks and newsletters and things like that from the whole history to now, but primarily pre-71.
So when can we see that? Maybe at the next PTA meeting, maybe?
I could probably start to share a link to the Hornet Herald and maybe even just present it in a meeting. It's more of an investigative or exploring history. You can move around and click a newspaper article and it'll get big and read it, things like that.
Wow. It's not that very interesting.
Yeah, we'll be allowed.
Actually, we'll use it at the museum, we'd love to have it.
We're speaking of the Carver Museum?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Are there any other questions about the bond? Awesome. If you didn't see the kids, they did sneak in and from Miss Matson's culinary class and deliver us muffins that their students made in 4 different flavors. So please go back there. It doesn't count if a kid made it and you're just trying it for educational purposes. The calories don't count. That's what I meant. So go on back there. Let's see. Oh, and I want to say thank you to it's Alicia and Laura and I always forget. I'm sorry, I forget your name. But you baked for us for Coffee Cart. Ellen, I'm sorry. You guys baked for Coffee Cart and came to the Coffee Cart that we had for the teachers on Monday, where we just go around and give them caffeine and hot chocolate and goodies, and they all get really excited about it. So thank you guys for coming and helping with that. That was awesome. We'll have another one of those in February. If you want to help again, we'd love it. And other announcements I'm supposed to make are, Dee could probably help me a little bit with this one, but our advisory classes are going to do a giving challenge where they're going to basically adopt Kealing families, and we're going to be requesting, is it food and toys and clothes? All 3, and the kids can either help with that, and they also have the option of making cards for people inside advisory as a project for members of the Kealing family, and there may be an opportunity for the kids to help come and sort and get involved outside of that if they really want to get involved.
And in that, they are also going to sponsor, I believe she said, 5 Blackshear families. So we're adopting not within, but we're also adopting out. Yes, ma'am.
Because when we did something like this, as I spoke to you about, we also had a wrapping party where we would basically wrap all the presents and the things for the family. So let us know if you need donations of gift wrap and time and tape and ribbon. And
Okay, we certainly will.
I'm sorry, when did you say we'll find out about that? Because I suspect I won't find out about it if my son is
It was
responsible.
in last week's Hornet Herald.
So I need to, okay.
It'll be in the Hornet Herald, and there should be a small, I saw a small green piece of paper that it may have gone out already, advisory.
But it's on the Kealing Middle School's website.
Yeah,
'cause I didn't
websites,
see the green
thank you,
little-
less
Yes.
crinkly.
And we'll
less
be
spotted.
sending out more information, especially for sign-up opportunities and those kinds of things as well. We know that children don't tend to think, take things home.
I think the school really wants the kids to be involved, but we were trying to work with, your name Amber, that yes, the kids have to be involved, but there's still mommies in the background here a little bit, so I think maybe a sign-up genius of the items might be
That's what was
being,
suggested.
Yes.
we suggested that might be coming. We have to give this woman who's organizing it a chance to get her ducks in a row. There will be giant, I bought one yesterday at Kids Sky, give me a good deal, giant boxes that are almost as tall as I am, that will be right at the front door and in the teachers' lounges. So the kids can do their cards, they can do whatever it is she can come up with, and you can feel free to supplement that.
Just a note though, if you do want to get involved and you end up buying gift cards of any kind, you can either email them into the school straight to D. Gonzalez, which is a great way of doing it, but if you're going to physically send in a gift card, which is fabulous, make sure they go to room 112A, straight to D, that way they don't get lost or shuffled. But,
So is there a value on the gift card?
Whatever you would like
Whatever
to
you can.
make it for.
if you're at the shop, I know clothes of any age, we take toys, any kind. Hopefully, the sign-up genius will guide us a little bit about what is needed and priority.
And it should be coming out pretty soon, I think. We had our visit with Amber on Tuesday, and so we were just trying to line up what the things were that we were going to be asking for, and then especially for sizing, what we were going to be looking at. And it would be things like hoodies and, how many smalls do we need and how many large and things like that. So we can be a little bit more specific so that we can get more bang for our buck.
She was saying one of the most difficult challenges was 13-year-old boys. Stuff doesn't come in for them. So we're just trying to encourage her to figure out what your need is. Can you spell it out so we can ensure you get what you need rather than just leaving it up to us buying
People, not
Yeah.
here at Kealing,
Yeah.
but people, if you go to a giving tree, if you ever talk to them, they always say that the little kids get picked off the tree, but the 13-year-old boys especially don't, because their stuff's just not as exciting to buy, I guess, than a little cute onesie for babies, so that's why I think we're hoping she'll make it.
There's only so many basketballs and soccer balls that you can give to a 13-year-old boy. And he may not be into any kind of sports. So that's the other thing that we have to take into consideration. So that's why Amber was trying to get a list. She's kind of polling the boys to see what they would like to have. That way she can create that list based on what boys think that they would really appreciate receiving.
So be on the lookout for that, and if you're interested in getting involved with it, let us know. I'm sure my involvement will ramp up on it. Did you have Kealing Park info? Oh, we're gonna do that at the end, aren't we? If you want to do a field trip, right? So you have got money to talk about probably.
Let's do Thanksgiving.
So we want everyone to come to our Thanksgiving community meal, which is November the 16th at 5 o'clock here in the cafeteria. This is co-sponsored by our PTA and our feeder elementary schools, Blackshear, Campbell, and Oak Springs. Blackshear will be providing us with some entertainment from their students, so we're really excited. Blackshear is really working hard at becoming a little bit more involved with Kealing. Oak Springs is working well as can be. And Campbell is really excited because of all of the great extracurricular activities that they have going on over there. That's going to help the students when they come to Kealing, because we actually have classes that are going to help those students. And they will come already prepared because they've had that foundation. Parents are really excited also about coming to the Thanksgiving meal. We do have a sign up for items that are needed, and I believe Lauren Crowley had put that out. But I've got to figure out, I just found out this morning that no one has seen it. So I will talk to Lauren today and find out what the deal is with that. We have been very fortunate that we don't need a whole lot because we've got a lot of people who are just donating at random. But there are some particular things that we do need. And again, I'm going to check with Lauren and we'll put it out there and we make sure that it's in the Hornet Herald as well. I will do a school messenger to also let you know about the sign up and to remind you to come. Feel free to bring your neighbors. Kids are all welcomed. We want this to be a really great community event, not just Kealing, but within our community outside these four walls.
You want me to go first? Okay. Okay, so I would like to do the financials, so you have this very cluttered piece of paper here. I need to say four things really quickly here. Our opening checking balance is $49,101 and
$49,101.46.
our incoming,
Is $927.96.
our total expenses were,
$4,027.65.
and our ending checking balance is
$45,827.31.
excellent. Okay, so on the back lists all our expenditures. Hopefully you can read it like a book if you're all interested. I can answer any questions you have on there. I need a couple of budget amendments. We received a request, and we did this last year. It's for $1,500 for during STAR test. We will provide the entire school with granola bars and bottles of water. It's a long period of time. They have to sit there and be attentive. So I don't want to take that out of school-wide needs, so I'm suggesting that we put this into STAR testing snacks. And to get the money for that, so over on this far left-hand side, it says proposed budget amendments. So I'm going to put $1,555 to STAR testing snacks. I'm going to bring membership income up by $860. I'm going to drop the insurance expense by $25, and then I'm going to take $570 out of school-wide needs. So I make a motion that we accept these budget amendments. Is there a second?
I second.
What's your name?
Sherwin Wagner.
Sherman White. Any discussion?
Good idea.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. Motion's carried. I'm done.
And then Dusty, you have a field trip for us, right, if we want? Do you have anything to talk about before that?
Potentially, are there any other agenda items?
I don't think so. Do we have anything else? Does anybody else have any items they want to bring up?
Questions, concerns?
Today.
Pardon?
Can I pay my PTA dues?
Yes, you can always pay your
They always do. We'll always take money.
We have the PTA treasurer here.
I
Yeah.
have a form.
How much are
Jane, how much are PTA dues? 20?
$10?
10?
Sorry,
How
it's
much are
10
10
PTA?
single,
10
19
single.
For a family.
for a family.
Oh, I can.
10%.
Any other questions or concerns? Oh, I know, I have one more announcement. I forgot. December 7th, it's the next PTA meeting. We will have a speaker from NAMI. And they're going to be a speaker. We have a speaker next time at the next PTA meeting. It's December 7th. He's here again at 7:30, and they're going to come and speak about teen mental health. They'll talk about the warning signs for depression and anxiety, suicide. And they'll also be talking to us about how we can open up dialogues between us and our kids to make sure that our children are always comfortable coming in and talking to us about these things, and hopefully heading off any potential big problems at the pass for now and as they get older. So please come to that one. It may be a little bit longer of a meeting, maybe a kind of longer discussion, but for whatever part you can come, you can always come and duck out if you have to. And so yes, now that's what you got. All right.
Well, many may know or not that, there we go, shuffle, shuffle. All of the space around Kealing is not AISD's alone. And we share a lot of this property with the city, and the playground that our children use every day, in particular, and the space on the west side of the school between us and the Carver Library and Museum, Cultural Center, and Genealogy Lab are city property. So it has a name. This is Kealing Park, for Kealing Neighborhood Park. And we were approached this summer to form a friends group. A friends group was basically adopt the park, keep an eye on it, figure out what might be useful for the space. For example, there are currently no trash receptacles in the park, although there's a pathway and picnic tables. You may have seen that the playground, I think as a part of a recent city parks bond, got a complete updating this summer. The kids are really enjoying it. There's musical features, and hint at the end of this, if you have a desire, I'd be happy to take a little guided walk through the park so you can see what's going on. At the same time, as a part of a grant that the campus won, the tennis courts, right below the tennis courts where water used to run off the tennis courts and erode away areas of the park, that's going to be converted into a rain garden space, so a landscaped space near the park, under the trees, or near the trees, that provides I guess, serves a purpose of easing the runoff and erosion and providing another attractive space to relax both for families and kids during the school day. So there's a lot happening over in the park, and I think that was the impetus where the Austin Parks Foundation said, hey, would you or a group of folks be interested in forming a friends group? And I have a belief that organizations or groups are a lot better at shepherding or stewarding a space than a person, who's particularly a parent that is a middle school parent, they're here for a couple of years, unless, anyway, I've worked on organizing groups like our PTA, like the 6 Square Cultural District, perhaps area churches may be involved in joining together for a friends group. And I think the PTA is probably the perfect organization, not an individual person, you know, where our leadership changes, but to kind of help organize the friends group that may do some simple things. You know, there's grant money available through the Austin Parks Foundation for parks improvement, but with a friends group you have better access to it. There are, I think, 90 other parks with friends groups, and Kealing Park is one of the only without. So this is a chance for us to take ownership of our space a little bit, start to, you know, plan for its future. Again, it's not a large park, and there's not a lot that it needs. I don't know if we'll ever be able to fill Kealing Park swimming pool again.
No, you won't.
But
Away.
perhaps whatever is next in that space, you know, this friends group can be a part of. Pardon me, get the frog in my throat. So, anyway, after the meeting, while I could not arrange to have the Parks Foundation and the Parks Department representatives here, we might go through that exercise in the spring, where they actually show us where the boundaries of the park are and talk about ideas. If you just want to have an informal walkthrough, if you're not familiar with what's over on the side of the school, we've got our school garden, which may or may not be on school property, maybe the city's, I'm curious to know, but we use it every day. We've got the playground, which I definitely know is on city property. So anyway, it's...
So you don't know the boundaries?
Personally, as a parent, I don't. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of maps that tell us it's either across the teacher parking lot, or there's a little element that carves out the teacher parking lot, I'm not sure. But,
So when you say Friends of the Park, you're talking about mainly the playground, because that part below the part west of the playground is, well, it's all parkland.
yes.
But the part that's west of the playground is Carter's.
Right, I don't perceive the Friends group to be involved with the historical sidewalk, or any of the other aspects.
Or even the pool.
Probably.
The pool is going away.
So if the Carver Center is programming that space already, or if you know exactly what's happening there, that's fine. The Friends group is really just
To the
designed.
park, to the playground part of it.
Yeah, it's just designed to keep an eye on a space, have a couple of cleanups, perhaps during It's My Park Day, which is a citywide event, and then if there's a need, and the last time I walked through the space, well, not the last time, but this summer while I was at the school, there was a vacuum cleaner on a picnic table there. So there's just no space to dispose of anything now. So we're thinking that might be the first effort. Can we get a grant to get the city to put in a couple of trash receptacles? So that's the early stage ideas. Well, it doesn't.
That's a Parks Department thing, like they should,
Yeah.
that's just a
And it's
request to say,
particularly-
put it in, and
So-
we should do that.
So you'd think.
No, I'm sure.
Maintenance budgets at the Parks and Department is not much different than an ASD maintenance budget. It's strapped, so sometimes it takes a little extra
That's ridiculous.
push. But we're in this together now. Anyway, if you'd like to take a walk with me over to this space after the meeting, I'd be happy to lead a little 10-minute walk, because it only takes 3 minutes to get through that park.
We don't have any other items. It's 31. Oh, sorry.
I have one quick question. Do we have a day before the teacher holiday, appreciation?
Like lunch?
Usually it's like a little after-school staff party.
We have actually updated that this year. The Young Scientists group, Kealing, always comes in every year, and they put on a very lavish, amazing lunch for the teachers. And this year, PTA is actually going to partner with them, and we're going to bring in our gift cards like we always do for the teachers. And this year, we're actually going to do a cookie bar. We'll be asking all of our amazing parents to bake some goodies, and we'll be setting them out and giving the teachers boxes, and they can go through and actually build their own treat box with stuff that they actually like instead for dessert that day. And so basically it'll be during the day on December
13th.
13th.
So it'll be during all of the lunches. The Young Scientist parents always like to cook for our family, our teachers. I call teachers our family. And the teachers always look forward to having that particular meal. Some of our parents take great pride in their dishes that they prepare, and they come up with a little bit of a competition, right? So we have this big spread. We even have teachers who come back who have already retired or decide that, hey, that's the day I need to come and sub, because we're going to have this awesome meal. So, we start at the first lunch and we end at the last lunch, but there's always something left over for about 30 minutes, and then it's all gone because teachers just love what the Young Scientist parents prepare for them. But it's their way of saying thank you to the teachers, and also saying thank you to PTA for what they do for the Young Scientist program. So,
Yeah, we just kind of found that attendance was a little hard in the afternoon for the teachers. So many of them are they've got office hours, or they're already booked someplace, or they got meetings, and so it was hard for them to get to that particular event for Teacher Appreciation. So it made more sense to combine the events and put it during the day. But you probably, again, Hornet Herald, I'm sure we'll be putting out soon a request for gift cards that we do for the teachers every year, so that they can all enjoy this holiday shopping of some kind. So look out for that. Any other questions or comments?
I have something else. I do want to say thank you to all of the parents who were the secret pals to the teachers. All the teachers were so excited to receive their gifts. And, you know, we just can't thank you enough. It was really nice to receive that nice little treat on that unexpected day. So thank you again.
Well, how do you get see this now?
Nothing like that.
Oh,
There
it was
was-
in the Hornet Herald for a couple of weeks. We'll talk about how to get you on the Hornet Herald, because that's what we need to do. If you go to the website, there is a link that's out active that says subscribe to the Hornet Herald. It's on the main page on the left-hand side, and you just need to click on it, and you can get this newsletter that comes out once a week every Sunday, and it's got everything in there. It's really a good source, everything that happens in
I just moved and I don't have internet, and then I have people laughing, I have ghetto boost phone. So, but anyway, I'll probably will go to the library, so.
Yeah, well, and you can get to it from the main Kealing Middle School website as well. Get a copy of it so you can stay up to date. All right, well, then it is now 8:36. Adjourn the meeting.
Thank you
guys
all.
for coming.